Good to have you. Yesterday, I was talking about the game of giving, and I explained why it is necessary for you to give, how giving helps you, how giving is actually um, something that you do because of yourself, how it is the end game of all wealth, and how you should learn it now. Because if you do not learn it now, you don't get to the point where you have anything to give. I explained, Jenny Stacko, you're welcome. Good to have you. Good to have you. So I explained that when people give, they not only open their minds, they also have set the universe up. Skills Crib, you're welcome. Very much welcome. Okay. And one of the things that I discussed yesterday was that when people give, people force the universe to open up to them in such a way that you are making sure that there is something in your future, that the universe owes you something. And usually, the way it happens, because I explained to you that there is cause and effect, okay, that every religion agrees that there is karma, there is reward, there is recompense, etc. And I explain that giving causes you to get good effect. So giving is a good cause, which means that the effect is also good. And then when the universe is looking for how to give you anything, how to help you, one of the things that the universe does for you is that the universe sends you ideas. And I was explaining yesterday about how ideas are everything, about how the saying goes about there is no army that can stop an idea whose time has come. Okay? And then usually, one of the other things that people will say, which is true, is that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Now, the future belongs to the people who have ideas. Remember, Diesel, you're welcome. Good to have you, Diesel. You're welcome. And I explained to you that one of the things that you would need to use to create the future are ideas. I explained to you how big corporations are mostly afraid of the idea of a young chap coming from nowhere. All right, good. So today I want to talk more about ideas because because I was talking about giving yesterday, so I really couldn't explain it in as much details as I wanted to yesterday. So I'm going to take time today. I'll be brief. I won't be long with this live. I just traveled in from Lagos and I'm a bit tired, and you can sense probably from my voice or from my eyes. So the idea is that we don't want to miss a day. We want to show up every day, no matter what, because that is the thing that distinguishes between a great person and a small person. Is the ability to show up when you don't feel like, when everything does not look like you need to show up. Being able to show up in spite is what makes a person great. Not being able to show up because it's difficult is what makes a person small. So I am living the things that I'm saying, and then I am showing up. Okay, so it's going to be brief. So I want to explain to you ideas. I want to explain to you ideas. You see, people feel that there are things that you call brilliant ideas, and then people think that there are things that you call stupid ideas. Okay, now, now I think that right now you should forget anything called stupid idea or brilliant idea. Just call them ideas. There's nothing like a stupid idea. There's nothing like a brilliant idea. There are only ideas that worked and ideas that didn't work. Nothing is as good. There's nothing like the stupid ideas, because let me tell you, there are stupid ideas that have worked. And then there are brilliant ideas that didn't work. So forget about calling ideas stupid or brilliant. Forget it. What you should focus on as a person is working out an idea. The people who have ideas and pursue it, they are always better off than people who have ideas and didn't pursue it. The people who have ideas and did not pursue it are not different from the people who do not have ideas in the first place. So there's nothing good about an idea that was not executed, and then there's nothing bad about an idea that was executed. So forget about calling ideas stupid or brilliant. Focus on execution. We have talked a lot about execution, so I'm not going to be at liberty to explain execution anymore. But this is what I want you to bear in mind, okay? This is what I want you to bear in mind. You need to consider ideas like water in the well. Okay? Water in the well, consider ideas like water in the well. Okay? If you draw out the water, that is you drawing out an idea. So there's an idea. If you drink the water will quench your thirst. But if you draw out an idea, which is water for in this instance, and you don't drink it, it does not quench your thirst. You can go on about and tell people that I did better than somebody. At least me, I drew the water. At least there's somebody who didn't draw the water now. The difference is that you drew the water, but the similarity between you and the person who didn't draw the water is that both of you are still thirsty because none of you drank the water. Okay? So you need to begin to see ideas from the angle of execution. And I will explain it to you. You see, when people have ideas, what usually happens to ideas is that when you first have an idea, it looks really nice. It looks really nice. You feel on top of the world. Okay? When you begin to pursue the idea begins to look stupid. You're like, okay, how did I even think I was going to do this? This thing can't work. You start to feel self-doubt. Okay? Now, that happens to everybody. That does not mean that anything is wrong with the idea. It just means that something is happening to you. Now, you now require emotional intelligence, the emotional intelligence or the perseverance, the persistence to continue with your idea. Because when you do not have ideas, it feels as if you do not have anything. Whereas when you have ideas that you don't see through, what you are going to feel is going to be worse than the person who didn't have idea, because you now will be frustrated because a part of you can imagine what could be, and then there's a part of you that could not create what could be. That can create serious cognitive dissonance for people. That is why people who have potential are the ones who are mostly depressed. Whereas people who do not have potential can be happy because there was no expectation in the first place. So you have to be careful that your ideas don't become causes for you, which is exactly the kind of thing the thing that I want to talk about mostly today, because I have realized that everybody always has ideas. Everybody has had brilliant ideas. In fact, research has shown that an average person will have at least 10 very brilliant, 10 world-changing ideas in their lifetime. Can you imagine? The world is over 7 billion people. Imagine that 7 billion people all had 10 life-changing ideas. That is 70 billion ideas. Look around you. Does it look like this world has ordinary 1 billion ideas? In fact, does it look as if this world has 200 million ideas? Not talk of 70 billion ideas. 70, not just ordinary ideas, but life-changing ideas. That should tell you something. That should tell you that every time you tread in the same path that the average person treads, you are attracting or you are calling for the result of the average person. The average person is poor. So what if you don't know how to be rich? Just look around you and decide that you are going to not do average. If you don't know how to be rich, just look around you and decide that I am not going to be average. As long as you do things that other people cannot do, you will have the result that other people only dream about. In fact, you have the kind of result that some people cannot even imagine. So, the essence of ideas is that ideas are supposed to be a reward, but you see, the reward of work is more work. So if you made one fine clothes and your customer wore it and the clothes was so fine and then 10 people saw it on your customer and they were like, who made this clothes for you? And they mentioned your name. And they say, it's Q Script or it's Jenny Stako. They say, okay. Give me his number or give me a number. And then 10 people called you and then they placed the same order of the dress that you have made. What would happen to you is that you now have to do 10 times the work that you do. So the result or the consequence or the reward of work is more work. Which is why when you give to people and you have ideas, you now have to work out the ideas. You see, they always say that ideas are dime a dozen, that execution is the MVP. Execution is the real deal. Execution. That's the places where people fail. It's the place where people fail. People fail at execution. You have to decide in your heart. You have to decide by yourself. You have to call your name and say, Ayodamola, I am always going to execute. Ayodamola, I am always going to execute. That's what you want to do for yourself. You want to make sure that your ideas, I talked about several things, but one of the things I want to point out again tonight is that, you see, when you have an idea, you will need the knowledge and the application of almost everything that we have been teaching in this life challenge to do well or to fleece out or to get the benefit or the reward of that beautiful idea that you just have. Which means that when a person has an idea, it depends on the person whether the idea will work or not. So if you give person A and person B the same idea, person A may be able to work out the idea, and then person B is unable to work out the idea. Why? Why is person A able to work out the idea and person B not able to work out the idea? It is simply a question of capacity. Capacity that each of them has built over time. Maybe one of them already understand that success is in showing up. And this person feels like, okay, now that I have this beautiful idea, I am going to show up for this idea every day. Whereas the other person B feels that since this idea is so wonderful, once I just start the idea like this, the idea will just take over itself and launch itself. No. If YouTube is doing adverts, if Facebook is doing adverts, and Google is doing adverts, and all the brands that that Coca-Cola is doing adverts, that means that is Coca-Cola showing up for their product every day. Google is showing up for their own product every day. That's already an idea that is working. How much more you who just have this brilliant idea and has not yet started working? So the game of money is the game of ideas, in the sense that ideas will rule the world. But you see, a more appropriate thing, Oga boy, you're welcome. A more appropriate thing is to say and show that it is not ideas that rule the world. It is the people who execute ideas that rule the world. Because if it was ideas that rule the world, that means that wishes are horses. Everybody will write. Do you know how ideas fly around? Some people believe that ideas are like oxygen, that they're always in the air, that you just have to be at a certain frequency for you to pick it. So if that were true, that means that everybody will have idea, which is almost true, because everybody does have ideas. Now, everybody, that guy that you saw on your street that is broke has ideas. Your boss has ideas. People who are doing well have ideas. People who are not doing well have ideas. The people who will do well have ideas. The people who will not do well have ideas. The difference is that Crown Footwear, you're welcome. The difference, good to have you, very good to have you. The difference is that people who succeed are the people who have ideas and executed the ideas. Let me tell you, they say that Twitter is a mediocre idea, that Twitter is an average idea. Well, look at Twitter today. An average idea in the hands of a great man will become a great product. Whereas a brilliant idea in the hands of a lazy, stupid person would not even see the light of day, not to talk of us being able to qualify it. Nobody will even hear about that brilliant idea. God's chosen enterprise, you're welcome. Nobody will even hear about that idea because the person who had the idea is silly or unable to execute. So you will give, and once you give, you will be having loads and loads of good ideas. Your job must be for you to execute the ideas. At the very worst, if you don't do anything, make sure you are able to sell the idea to the person who will execute. You see, the way greatness works, greatness always applies the common things. The common things. Something that everybody can say, wow, oh, okay, this simple thing. Okay? Like noodles, like milk, like big enterprises that make chocolate from cocoa powder and things like that. That's how you know greatness. And that's one of the things that you must imbibe for yourself. It's one of the things that you must imbibe for yourself. You must learn that when you have ideas, you win by executing those ideas. That's how you win. You want to win, you have to make sure that you execute your ideas. That is why it is very important for people to have notepads, places where they jot things. Places where they jot things. People have to execute ideas. People have to learn how to execute ideas. It is very, 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 very important that you learn how to execute ideas. Okay? That's what is going to differentiate you from the average man. Because you see, ideas are dime a dozen. Everybody gets good ideas. Everybody gets good ideas. Everybody will have good ideas. The difference between that poor man who is wretched and the guy who is rich is they may have the same idea. Is the ruthlessness with which one of them execute the idea. You have to be ruthless with the execution of your idea. You find an idea, you execute it with ruthlessness. You see, let me tell you, it is possible for you to execute an idea ruthlessly and it does not work, okay? But because you have attacked that idea ruthlessly, you would have improved your capacity and then you would have learned a lot from executing that idea, which makes sure and predisposes and positions you and guarantees you for your next success. That's the thing about pursuing your ideas. That's the thing about executing your ideas ruthlessly. You, at the very terrible worst, will learn. And the things you learn are the things that you are going to be able to apply to your next business immediately. Things that you will do and start to have results. You have to understand that your ideas will work if you work them. If you work them, your ideas will work. If you work them, your ideas will work. So if they are told you that if a guy dresses like a girl and talks like a girl, that guy will become very popular and become an influencer and make a lot of money. If they have told you about that idea, would you not have said that is stupid? In a country like Nigeria, that can never ever work. But this person who you know, because I don't want to mention names, who you know, he has stayed consistently on this thing. People say he's a cross-dresser. People say he's now this. People say he's now that. Can you see how influential that person is? Because of what? Because the person decided to ruthlessly execute a terrible idea. But of course, I'm not asking you to go around looking for terrible ideas to execute. It is better to execute brilliant ideas ruthlessly than to execute poor, shabby, negative ideas. Remember when I told you that you should map out 5 years, that you should write a letter to yourself from 5 years? One of the things that you are supposed to apply when you are doing that task was that you are supposed to engage your imagination, your vision, and also engage your ideas. That's how you are able to know where you will be in 5 years' time, because you know the things that you are going to ruthlessly begin to execute. I promise that today's post or today's live will not be long, so I have come to the end of this live today. It is very, very simple. You have to execute your ideas. You have ideas, no matter how long it takes, you have to execute your ideas ruthlessly. That is what will determine whether you're rich or you are poor, whether you are successful or whether you do not succeed. Show up for your ideas. Show up for your ideas every day. Show up for your ideas. Thank you very much. I'm rooting for you, you know. I'm particularly interested in your success. I want you to succeed big. And of course, I'm going to be here for it. Love you, love you, love you. Bye. See you tomorrow.